Welcome back to Open Line, talking with Tim Takis, elder law attorney. And one of the things that I want to get into in our final long segment here is this whole notion that you go to a nursing home, you can't pay your bill, and at some point the nursing home will take your house. This is something that really concerns a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
What do we need to know about
That's
that?
prevalent out there. I mean, where people walk in and they'll say, I know that if I go into the nursing home, then the state, I know I can keep my house, but when I die, then, the state's going to come in and they have a right to recoup, to pay themselves back.
Right.
That's sort of the, and that's called estate recovery, is what it's called. And a lot of people will go, well, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to, I'm not going to the nursing home. And of course that's people's choice, needless to say, but at the same time, we think about the burden on others. Your choice is, well, I'm not leaving my house, otherwise the state's going to recoup, take it, well, it's like, well, maybe you should talk to your kids about that. Maybe they don't want to do that. Or, my concern for, for I call it my short list of things that really bothers me professionally.
Right.
And that's all of the caregiver spouses out there who fear that, well, if I put my husband in the nursing home, and the state pays for his care, then the state's going to come back and take my house or take our house. So I won't do that. So I will kill myself, instead of going out and getting help. And I've always said that, the state, has, to my knowledge, does nothing to to tell those spouses, that's not going to happen. The most they're going to say is that, well, as long as you survive your husband, then we cannot recoup until you die. And then the spouses are going to go, well, my husband and I worked for this house for 60 years. We're not going to give it to you.
Right.
So I'm still going to do the same thing.
Right.
I'm not putting my husband in the nursing home. And I will take care of him, until I die in this house, and hopefully I won't, he'll die before I do or whatever. But
so how common is that the state actually comes in and takes the house?
Well, it's becoming more prevalent now. One of the things I tell people, I say, that, and in a way, it's a trade-off. All right, if you're an unmarried person or a widowed person and you're in the nursing home and you own a house, the state says you have a right to come back there. You have we cannot take your homestead or make you sell the house to pay for your care. But when you're dead, you don't need it anymore. And so therefore it's kind of like a loan. And so, we're just loaning you to pay the nursing home. Now, if you don't have a house, and you don't have any money, then we're still going to pay for your nursing home care. And if you die owning nothing, there's nothing for the state to get, and that's fine. So in those situations, when you have spouses, one spouse is in the nursing home, we just basically say to our spouses, we say, look, we don't want that spouse who's in the nursing home and on Medicaid to die owning anything.
Right.
As long as they die owning nothing, then the state can recoup nothing. So almost as a matter of course, when the spouse goes into the nursing home, we want to make sure that spouse transfers the house to his or her spouse. Not a 5-year look-back period. The state says that's okay, not a problem. So then that spouse is in the nursing home and the Medicaid pays for 3 years. He dies, he doesn't own anything. And the state has no right to recoup when his surviving spouse passes away. Been there, done that, had that case, went to Tennessee Court of Appeals on it. We did it all the right way. Right. Tennessee Court of Appeals said, you're exactly right, the state cannot recoup.
So that's good.
That's good. That's good. And all this stuff is legal. It's all done in accordance with federal and state law.
But what you really are concerned about is people not even going into a nursing home.
Absolutely, because they are worried about stuff because they hear things.
Right.
They hear that, well, they're going to take my house. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know how many times I've heard that. Well, they're just going to get it in the end anyway. I say, no, they're not. Let me tell you how we're going to do this. And it's all in accordance with what the law allows them to do. Mm-hmm.
Because the
You know,
state, in the end, that's the other thing. Most of the time, they don't want the house. I mean, what do they do with it? They have to turn around and sell it.
They sell it and they get their money back out, or they, it goes through probate court, and some lawyer or whatever does the probate, and the state is a creditor and they get those funds. They don't want the house; they want the money.
They want the money.
That's all they want.
And a house, they have to go through all that stuff.
Exactly, but they'll do it. I mean, if you've got if it's a $100,000 house, and the bill is $200,000, they're going to say, yeah. All we can get is what the estate is worth. They can't get anything else, but they're going to get what they can get because that's what the law is. And frankly, federal law says that every state has to have an estate recovery program in place because most of the Medicaid money comes from the federal government.
So we have now 2 minutes left in this segment. What do you want people to take away? What are some of the highlights and some of the big issues you hope people get?
One is just like what we were talking about is that be careful of what you hear out there on the street, okay? Right. Because we talk all the time about on this program and elsewhere about myths that people have about how this works. Is that people will I used to say people will give away hundreds of thousands of dollars based upon what they heard from their Uncle Joe's next door neighbor's best friend. I mean, that's what people do that.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Also, they think about, okay, if it's important enough to worry about, and you're not really know what the answer is, it's important enough to go find out. If you're looking at taking care of a loved one, a spouse, a family member, yourself, and that it's involved somehow, financing care, or some sort of legal matter is that find an expert. Okay, you're in Knoxville and you're watching this online, I'll give you names of people. Mm-hmm. If you're calling from Texas, you're watching from Texas, call or email the office, I'll find you somebody in Texas.
And that's great. And the biggest mistake people make is just doing nothing.
Doing nothing. Right.
All right, so we're going to take a break. We'll come back, and then we'll put up your information so people can get in touch with you. So we'll take a break. Be back right after this.